share my story very quickly. Where do I come into this picture of diabetes? Why am I doing this work? What are some of the causes that I've done my research on and found out that's keeping us into that situation of diabetes, and that's not being discussed, some concepts that I work on with my clients that help, and then sharing the success story of one of my clients, Mr. Khalid Pervez Khan, who's also a dear friend, who's graciously agreed to share this because we want to share whatever advantages we experience. So, and that's the whole purpose of this, that we would like more and more people to live a healthy lifestyle and not have the side effects of medications. So any quick questions before we start? Please write in the group chat if you have anything. Parvez is managing the chat. He's agreed for that. I don't think my social media manager is on today. He's enjoying his Sunday. So it'll be just me and Parvez. So now my story starts with, I did my PhD in biochemistry way back in 1999. And of course, I came from a world of science. Both my parents being scientists and professors, that's all I knew. And I trusted science and medical science. Anyways, I had ulcers and very bad situation with ulcers.
I told him about Leon because he knows them, right? He's like, I had no idea. So he was saying that.
Sorry, can you mute yourself, Fatima? Yes. So I had really bad ulcers, and after 3 years of bleeding ulcers, I bumped into an Indian herbal medicine practitioner who helped me. It took a year, but after that, I have not had any problems. Anyways, I went back to following everything that the doctors had to say for other problems. I developed migraines. I developed fibromyalgia, and then a lot of weight. So I put on a lot of weight, and about 20 pounds. All the way up to my 44 years of my life, that's what I did, was followed the advice of the medical world, but it wasn't giving me the answers even for eczema. And then again, I ended up with an Ayurvedic doctor who helped me get off my eczema within 2 weeks, whereas the dermatologist told me that it can't be cured and I have to take steroids for the rest of my life. That somehow did not agree with me. I figured that there must be a reason that I got the eczema, or that I'm putting on weight, or that I've got diabetes. I wasn't born with this. It's not like I was born with a genetic predisposition to be a height of 5 feet 1 inches, but it's something that happened along the way, and I wanted to figure it out. I really wanted to know, what is it that has happened that has led me to this diseased condition? It's obviously not that I am deficient in metformin or deficient in some medication that I'm actually getting this condition. So I wanted to really dive deep into it. And what I found was, anyways, I did my master's in health administration as well, just to see if I could be of any use in the hospital system. And I worked at Monsanto. So I looked at the world of GMO and found that that too was really going against the grain and wasn't really making sense to me. What we're doing with nature. So it was all very intuitively guided. No one was telling me to go this way or that way, but I was being told you got to take medications. When I was diagnosed with diabetes, my doctor said that you have to get on medication because your A1C is, I think it was 7 point something, and you will have to get on a keto diet or a paleo diet and got to cut out all your carbs. At that point, I said, I don't want to take medication. I've had enough of side effects, and I'm sure there are side effects. So that's when I went on this journey to discover. And the first thing that I discovered was actually with this program called Mastering Diabetes. I really want to give a shout out to them. It's led by Dr. Cyrus Kambata, who is a PhD in nutritional biochemistry from Stanford. And he leads this program. It's amazing. He does a whole food plant-based diet. So you can only have plants and vegetables and fruits and on that. And then he puts you on an exercise program. So I basically did that, no fats at all. I did that for a year. I got out of it, but then I also found that being an Indian, we are so blessed to have all our Indian spices and flavors. I definitely did not want to give up on those. And how do I get other Indians to get out of diabetes without giving up on their favorite foods, which brings us together as a culture? So this is 2019 that I was diagnosed. And then after that, I started experimenting, and I figured out 3 concepts that lead us to a chronic disease situation, and let's say diabetes, but it's all linked. So the first is what I call STEM. It's called sleep, thoughts, eating, and movement, but thoughts can also be replaced with toxins. So how much sleep you get, what kind of hours you go to sleep with, is it restorative or is it just a sleep to recover for the next day? How do you change your life? Because everybody is living a very different life. We cannot have a cookie cutter method of living because we are not cows and pigs that can be put on a program. So that was my first thing, that some people work overnight shifts. So how are you going to get them to sleep? Okay, you go from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. That's not going to work, but they should be able to operate in the world without having to take medication. Then the T is the toxins. So the toxins that come from foods, and where do we access our food? Where do we have all these glyphosates and the pesticides and fertilizers in our food supply? What do you do? Every situation is different. I've taught people in India how I direct them to go and access good food is going to be different from what people in Canada can do. So there is a lot of room for flexibility, customization, which most of the programs don't take into account. They just want to have a fixed system, which works, which will work, but then diets don't work. And once you get off that model, then you get it back. So I've been trying to come up with a method that how can we keep it working and not have medications? And then is the toxins of emotion. So that's a whole new set of things that we don't even talk about, how our chronic diseases come to us through our stress, and how we mismanage stress, or how we keep on adding to stress and do not resolve stress. And unresolved stress becomes trauma, and that trauma leads us to a very acidic environment in the body. So in this first phase, we don't talk a lot about stress. It's all about sleep, your toxins from food, eating habits. What time are you eating? How much are you eating? How many times are you eating? And what foods agree with you? What do you like to eat? What you don't like to eat? And that is where the one-on-one model really helps, because everyone will have different questions on, I don't like this, or I don't like that, or that doesn't agree with me. And we tweak it and we go along the way and talking about it. And the last is movement, the M. So that strengthen your stem is the phase 1, which for some people could take 4 months, 6 months, 3 months, it all depends. The second concept that I came up with was called the germ, that we have a gut-brain axis. So how does your gut and brain talk to each other, and how that affects your health and disease situation? Then your emotions. So your nervous system, your digestive system, your immune system, they're so closely intertwined to each other that you can't separate it out and think that the person and the body are just 2 different entities. We are all one working together. We're not our body. So how our gut and our emotions are linked, and then how our relationships to not only to work or to family members, but to ourselves, to everything around us, that's affecting our emotions, and that's affecting our gut. And what's affecting the gut is affecting the brain. What's affecting the brain is it's such a big play that it takes. It's not a one-person job. And then all of that affects people's money situation. So money is energy, and when people's money is affected, it starts affecting their entire life. And that's the germ concept. That's level 2. That's after a person is done 4 months of doing the STEM. And then we come into the third concept of time, which is an acronym that I've used, but it's also come from my clients who've constantly said, I don't have enough time. And that is a problem. If we are constantly running into this situation, I don't have time. We are in a parasympathetic nervous system, and the parasympathetic nervous system makes us get into a situation of fight or flight. And in that situation, the body is not ready to rest and digest. If we cannot digest our food properly, then we do not absorb the nutrients. Don't absorb the nutrients, then obviously you're going to have all kinds of imbalances, all kinds of hormonal imbalances. So the T is the thoughts. What are you thinking about mostly? What's running in the background? And I is influence. We all are looking for influence in our life, influence with our children, with our parents, with our society at large, at work. And if we do not have that kind of influence, it starts affecting us emotionally. And again, we get into that gut-brain axis problem. So the T is the thoughts, and I is influence, and the M is, again, it starts affecting money. So money is so not talked about in the medical world, but I think we're missing the mark on that, because if we don't talk about how money is affecting a person and how the person is affecting the kind of money they're getting into it. But we talk a lot about that in my health coaching program. And we talk about it very openly because it's a fact of life. We cannot be doing this if we don't have money, and people are getting stressed about that. And then it's affecting their energy. So TIME, so thoughts that influence money and energy. So there we go into that direction. And so that makes it a whole year of a person trying to figure out their life and then taking control of it. So with that, I just wanted to show you what is being missed currently in the medical world. And my doctor also did not talk about it. I don't know if he knows about it or not, but when he diagnosed me of diabetes, all he said was get off carbs and start eating high proteins and get on metformin. This is actually not even scientifically true, because I'm going to show you, I don't know how much of my screen can you see. Can you see my screen, everyone? So what happens is that this is our cell.
Can you have made it a real fireside chat.
No, no, I'm not doing any PowerPoint. Let me see if I can turn this off and then you can see. So there's the cell. Now, this is a typical cell which has insulin receptors on it. So let's see, I'm going to explain it to you. So this is the cell which has insulin receptors all over it, and it's made of a phospholipid bilayer. So the first step in an insulin sensitive body, which is not diabetic, is that when we eat something and it's converted to glucose, it attaches to insulin. And that insulin, then step 2 is the insulin receptors signal the presence of glucose to the insulin, to other things in the cell, the P13K and all of those things. I'm not going to get into too much of a science here, but the insulin is attached to the receptor, and the receptor gives a signal that, hey, there's glucose over there, we need to get it in. And the third step is that there is a vesicle called GLUT4, and that GLUT4 delivers the glucose inside the cell. And the vesicle opens and the glucose goes in the cell. And the cells need glucose to operate, for energy. It's just it's a scientific fact that our brain uses glucose for energy. So the glucose has to enter the cell. No matter what you eat, ultimately it has to be broken down into glucose. So that's an insulin sensitive body, and this is how it should normally happen. But when we are on high fat diets, low fiber, it could be anything. You could be on a vegetarian high fat diet. You don't even have to be a meat eater. You could have so much stress in your life that you may be eating the lowest fat diet, but you would start making those the fat in your own body. So all cells have lipid molecules in there. Now those lipid molecules, when they grow bigger, then they start to hide these insulin receptors on the cell. So now instead of, say, you have 10 receptors, with the amount of fat you've eaten, you end up with just 5 receptors. So you become insulin resistant, which means that you will not be able to detect the presence of glucose that is being brought to the cells. And that glucose will end up in the blood. And so your blood sugar goes up. Blood sugar is not a good marker for diabetes. Blood sugar is a great symptom to watch out for, that, okay, my blood sugar is up, something's going on in my cells, I need to correct that. So the simple secret to all of this is to cut out the fat in your diet. But it's not so simple to cut out the fat in your diet. And it's not so simple to get rid of fat just because you've cut it out of your diet. You also have to work on your mind. However, we cannot do that in the very first phase. When a client comes to me, we really just talk about how to rest and digest, how to recover sleep, how to reduce the amount of cholesterol that your own body is producing, as well as reduce the amount of fat that you're getting from the diet. So sleep will help, all of the eating will help, and then we move the body. So you got to move it. And there are certain ways that you got to move your body. Okay. So there are certain ways to move your body. And it'll be different for everyone, depending on where you are on the spectrum. So luckily, if people can come to me the moment their blood sugar is starting to rise, then you can be in and out of the program within 3 months, 4 months. But if you've stretched it to a point where I was, A1C over 7, it took me a year to get out of it. And I had to take help from others. I went to the Mastering Diabetes program. So that's where it is. Now, from here, I want to share, I want to ask my friend, my client, Mr. Khalid Parvez. Yes.
One question. Can you please also talk about, like, when you say high carb, so what protein levels, what carbs, so just so that everybody knows that what kind, like percentage of carbs, what percentage of protein?
Right. So, okay, I got it. So when you're diagnosed of diabetes, then the first thing is that you're asked to get off carbs. And the reason you're asked to get off carbs is because they're only looking at the blood sugar as the marker. And the easiest way to reduce your blood sugar is to not eat carbs, because when you eat carbs, they get broken down into sugar way faster than proteins or fats will. So, but that's like a band-aid. That's just a quick fix. It does nothing to your cells that I talked about, reducing the lipid hiding your insulin receptors. So that's why in this method, you're actually supposed to eat 80% carbs and only 10% fats and 10% proteins. In fact, you don't even need to add any fat from external sources, because every natural food that you're eating has its own level of fat. So, but not just any carbs. When I say you need to eat carbohydrates, it is really meaning to say natural foods like fruits and vegetables. You can actually eat all kinds of fruits. However, depends on which stage of diabetes you're on, and that's where health coaching comes into play, that we look at the stage of the diabetes and how you can start to add the healthy carbs in your diet. what will it do to your blood sugar levels because of the medications that you're on? And then we need to work with your doctor. I will very quickly relate a story to you that I was working with a group program of ladies who wanted to lose weight. And there was one lady who was on insulin, and she was doing my program. I think she did it for 2 months or 3 months. And then she came to me one day. She said, I can't do your program. And I said, why? She said, my blood sugar has gone very low. And I'm like, isn't that a good thing? She said, no, because I take insulin. So my blood sugar went so low that I almost fainted. So I said, well, did you not reduce your insulin? She said, I went to my doctor, and the doctor said, no, we're not going to reduce your insulin. So what you need to do is stop eating all these healthy foods that you're eating, stop exercising to the amount you're exercising, and have Diet Coke. I think that's kind of, I don't even know what to say to that. So the poor woman, she had to stop doing my program because it was too healthy for her, because the doctor was not willing to reduce her insulin intake. And I think we have a situation here that we need to come to terms with. We do not need to have insulin or metformin if we don't need to, because they all come with their side effects. Metformin has so many side effects. I don't think the doctor even talks about it because they don't have the time to talk about it. As a matter of fact, I recently discovered that statins, their side effect is to get diabetes. Like, diabetes is a side effect of statins. So where do we go from here? But I think today we will keep it to scope. We're going to just really introduce the idea that you don't need to be having medications if you can get off medications, because medications will always lead to side effects. The body is not deficient in metformin. And the earlier you start on this journey of living a healthy lifestyle, get yourself someone who's knowledgeable, someone who cares, someone who's gone through the journey, someone who understands, to guide you through this. Because like I said, if you ever wanted to get to the Olympics, you will have to get a coach. I don't know of any Olympian who made it to the Olympics without a coach. So I have really I really believe in the health coaching model. I can't do without it. And that's why I have to run at 1 o'clock for my own coaching session. So with that, I'm going to invite Mr. Khalid Parvez Khan to share his story of how he came. I'm going to ask him a couple of questions, and then we'll leave time for questions from each one of you. So anyone, anything before we get started with Parvez? Any quick questions here? Please feel free to write in the chat whatever if you have any questions. And oh, someone said they wanted to see the cell diagram that I was showing. Okay, so the diagram, unfortunately, okay, so the diagram that I was showing.
Can you please put it on the PPT and share it with everybody, Sarah, later?
Later? Okay, let's do that. So when I'm going to send you the recording, I will put this diagram there. All right. Okay, so welcome, Parvez. I call him Perry, so I'm having a hard time calling him Parvez.
Okay, but Perry's fine too.
Yeah. Well, thank you. First, let me thank you for approaching me in April when you were diagnosed with diabetes, and for trusting me to be your guide in this and walk alongside you on this journey. So yeah, so thank you. So anything you want to say before I start asking you questions?
I think my story is I live in New Hampshire. I've been living here for the last 15 years, 20 years in US. I come from a diabetic family. So my father had diabetes, my mother had diabetes, she was on insulin. So I know at some stage I will have diabetes. So I was pre-diabetic for the last 3-4 years. And it was a matter of time that I will come into the range of diabetic, and that happened. So last in the month of March, when I saw my doctor, basically he said, well, you're on statins and you have a diabetic history. I think I will put you on low dosage of metformin. I said, yes, I think that's a good idea. I'm basically have to do it one day. But I had heard about Sarah's story that she had diabetes. She basically had taken control of it by changing the lifestyle, by taking care of the diet and other things, which basically she did. So I approached her, and that's how basically the relationship of me working with her and she as a health coach, which was a very new experience for me. Yes, you want to do something?
No, I think it was just an echo.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's when this relationship started, and I approached Sarah, and then she basically started working with me as a health coach, and she became a taskmaster, and I was basically completing tasks. So that's basically how it happened.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you that question again. I know once I asked you, would you have had the same results that you had through 4 months of coaching if I had written everything out for you on a plan and a book? So can you answer that? And why or why not?
I think a person like me had tried it in the past, because before coming on to statins, I had been telling my doctor, let me work on my lifestyle changes, on certain things related to my food, and let me work on it. And I used to do something, but it was for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So then everything used to get derailed. I think that's basically what happened. So this time I felt that if there is somebody who basically I'm able to connect every week, follow it up, maybe that basically what prompted me to get into this program which Sarah is running. So that's basically how, and I feel that if you work with somebody like a health coach, then you have a program, you basically are achieving certain things in a week. There are certain challenges you want to discuss. There are certain things you don't believe in. You have questions. So you have a person with whom you can vent out your frustrations or your challenges. And then also when you do exercises, let's say you have to do 5 times in a week and you are able to do 2 times in a week. So you also feel bad that you were not able to do things. So that also keeps you going. So those are the things which actually helped me working with Sarah as a health coach. I think that's why I felt. And working for 3-4 months, I felt that results I achieved was because of the consistent meeting every week and subsequently every 2 weeks. That kind of helped. I think that's basically how I look at it. Yeah.
That's very nice. Thanks for sharing that. And can you please share what changes did you make in your lifestyle, like food? Let's start with food. What do you see yourself doing now that you weren't doing, say, in January?
I think when it comes to food, our house basically is doing a pretty good job. Jabin is pretty much into getting the right kind of vegetables and meat, and we basically have been doing a good job there. But I think major change for me personally was cutting out meat and dairy, as well as eggs. I used to eat 3 eggs in a day. And all of a sudden I was asked, no, don't eat eggs. And then I used to eat sometimes, steak and all of that. So that was, we were not eating that much, but vegetables is basically was a big change. So I was running away from salads, and then salads became a part of mine, but I got into the business of making a salad myself. So I started making it more interesting. So, so that was the major changes I had to do. And then exercises, which I was never doing. So that basically became a part and parcel of my lifestyle change. And then either I'm playing golf or tennis, or if that is not happening, then I was walking 10,000 steps every day. So I think those are few things which I made sure I am doing these things. And that's basically, so now if I don't do them, I feel I'm not, I'm missing out on something. So that's basically what happened. Yeah.
Right. And we're still working on sleep, right? I think you've improved quite a bit, but that's a work in progress. Is that fair?
Yes, I think sleep is one part which I have I've been fighting. I only go to bed when I'm really sleepy. So I'm not able to maintain a lifestyle where at 10:30 you go to bed and have 8 to 8 hours of sleep. So that's the part I think that's a work in progress still.
And how has health coaching helped you kind of start to figure out your sleep? Because sleep, I think at one level you do understand that sleep is affecting your energy as well, and you can also share how you felt in energy levels following this.
I think this is a lot of us will agree that if you have a lifestyle which is full of exercises, physical activity, good food, you basically will be, and if you're having a high carb diet, you will feel more energetic. I think that's basically what I felt. So I play golf at least once a week, sometimes twice. And I play golf and I play walking. But if I'm playing 18 holes, I used to take a cart, because walking and playing golf for 18 holes used to be tiring. But lately I have been noticing that I'm playing 18 holes walking, and after playing 18 holes, I'm doing still pretty good. So I think that's maybe the changes which I have done in my lifestyles that has helped me. So that's
right.
What it is,
And
yeah.
I also want you to share that it wasn't as restrictive as one would think it is, that because you did have, as life happens to each one of us, you had to travel in the middle. You also felt like eating some of your favorite foods, which were meat based. How did you manage all of that?
I think the way I was doing it, if I know that I will be in New York and I will be going to Lahore restaurant for some nahari, for some kebabs on Eid, so I was making sure that I had a game plan that I walked 15,000 steps on New York that day. The evening, I basically had some nahari and some kebabs. So that's how I basically worked it out, that if you are having something which you need to take care in your system, so you do more physical activity, you have a game plan you have to work harder if you want to have certain food like nahari, kebabs, and all that stuff. That's how I was basically doing it. It's like I was in Delhi. I landed up at the Delhi airport and I was just roaming around and I saw a Kareem's shop there. And the first thing that I did was I ordered a plate of nahari for myself and a roti. And Fatma was with me, and she said,
Your daughter.
What happened to your diet? I said, well, that's fine. We'll handle it later. So I think once
confident.
in a while, yes. So I knew once in a while is okay. I can basically know what I need to do. I think that is something very important for everybody to understand, that when you start doing something, you will start understanding your body, that what food is basically helping you and what food is not helping you. So and stage will come that Nihari will not be, you will not be craving for that much. So I think that is basically what I have started feeling now. That, but once I'm out and it is there somewhere, if I am at Ashra's place and there is some good Nihari, so yes, I will be definitely having it.
And you will know how much to eat. You will know how to really enjoy it rather than gorge on it.
Yes, I think that
right?
portion size is very important. Like that's, you have to relish it, just have a small portion, and that's basically what you need to do. So that's how I was doing it. I'm doing it.
So anything else you want to share with people to advise them, to give them confidence before we open it up for people to ask questions?
I think if you are basically were pre-diabetic and you basically just entered the diabetic range, which doctors are saying, then going on medication is not is okay. But please know that this is something which you can manage it by changing your lifestyle, by doing few things in your diet, and by exercising, by making your life more active physically, and then taking care of other things like sleep. And so it is manageable. So I'm doing it. Let's see. I will be open to sharing my experience after a year, that where are we, what's basically going on. And I would like to share it with everybody, that whoever has a good story or good experience, they should help each other out. And health coaching, how I see it, it was a new experience to me. That anytime there is a person committed to, and he is working with you on a certain goal, then you also get invested in it and things happen. I think that's basically how I look at it. And reach out to Sarah if you are looking for some more information. Have a one-on-one. She's a friend, and she will be able to answer your questions. And if you need to work with her more than that, then you can basically talk to her and work it out. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So there's a question, did the health coaching keep you off the medication? So I think maybe you can share what A1C you came with, and now where are you at?
So when I started this program, then I had 6.1. So I was basically, I think anything 5.9 and above, people start, doctors start saying that you are diabetic. So, but I believe at my age, which is 55 and over, 6.1 to 6.5, I think it's okay. But I was diabetic, so I know that I will, based on my, I think 20, 30 years back in AIMS, there was one doctor, he basically did a study, and I was one of his subject. And he basically had concluded that at the age of 55, I can have diabetes. And if you take care of your truncal obesity and your diet and your food and your exercise, you can further delay it. And I think I basically also, that thing was in my mind, and that's what I have been working. That's basically has been what I was doing. That's working, and I think that's the message I want to give.
So you went back to 5.6 now, and I remember you were really surprised,
yes,
right?
5.6, yes.
Yeah, so you were not expecting it to go below 5.9 with just changing your food and lifestyle, right?
Yeah, I was expecting 5.9 and somewhere around that, but not 5.6, which was pretty exciting, and that motivated me. And that's when I spoke to Sarah that you need to share this story with more people, so that people get an idea that if you have to go to medication, that's fine, but you should try to do it without medication if it's possible.
Yeah. So very quickly, I wanted to share my website to show you if you wanted to get more information, because we don't have that much time to. So this is my website. You can go on it. Currently it's called Source Parent Health. I'm not super excited about the name, and still looking to work with my social media manager to change it. So you go here, and if you want to book a health coaching session, You can go on the services tab and you can look at all my concepts, the stem, germ, time, and what it does for you. You can even do a monthly membership subscription. You can get more information on any of these that you want. You want to learn a little bit about me. I think that's where you go to learn about me. No, there you go, about. So yeah, you can go here on about and what is Source Parent Health, why I call it that way, what is my journey with Source, and you can see that, and what else I'm doing in the world. How maybe you can, I'm always looking to partner up with people.
Adnan Saab is asking a question.
Yeah, there is a question. Harrowing that the doctor
do every day.
All over from that.
Yes, push-ups is part of the exercise part, and I can do now. When I started, I was able to do only 6 sets of 6, 3 times, but now I can do sets of 20. So I think that's basically the improvement of Nansa.
Yeah, and I remember in one of our coaching sessions, that was also one challenge that you had to get over, is building that into your routine, right?
Yeah. So just a moment. Arun is asking a question that I am diabetic for the last 13 to 14 years, and with medicine, my A1C is around 6.5.
I think it can be reversed. Oh yeah, I'm confident. You have to be willing to work, and you have come and explore. It won't hurt you to have a discovery session with me.
Yes, Arun, I think it will be a good idea to have one-on-one session with Sarah and just ask questions and basically figure it out yourself what she says in addition to this session, and see if something can be worked out, especially with reference to lifestyle. If something appeals to you, then you can follow it up.
Well, 6.5 is not high. I'll tell you, I had 7 point
no,
something.
With medication.
With medication, you are 6.5. Yes. So what is the medication for? They're just going to keep on increasing your medication and just suppress it. And that's not good because it's affecting other things. I mean, metformin has very serious side effects. So maybe just look into what are the side effects of metformin. I would be very pleased if you book a session with me. So I don't know if you guys know how to book a session with me, but I'll write my email. It's contact@sourceparenthealth.com. So send me an email and we'll figure something out. So any questions?
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah, for this contact. I'll definitely come back to you.
Perfect. Any other questions that need to be answered that we haven't touched on? Oh, someone had a hand up and I missed that.
That was me. I just wanted to, I did want to ask Perry, how hard was there a transition period? Was it very hard for you to make a change in your lifestyle and the way you're eating, or did you have some people I know, if they go on Weight Watchers, they're always writing what they have to eat or what they ate. How hard was it to change your lifestyle? And then the other thing I wanted to do is maybe launch I can do 20 push-ups too now. So maybe we can have a push-up challenge, you, me, and Ashraf Bhai, and maybe Arun and Vanessa and everybody here.
You would not be able to compete with Ashraf Bhai. He had been doing it for the last.
So there we go. We got someone to challenge and a challenge to keep, but that will keep us all healthy. But really, how hard was it a drastic change? Was it a draconian change? Was it a gradual change? How gentle was it on your system? And obviously it's successful. I just need to know how you felt that way. Thank you.
I think it was initially definitely challenging. Like you are, nobody enjoys doing exercises. That you have to basically really tell your mind, train your mind that you have to do it. But I had a goal. I wanted to achieve something because last time I failed. So this time I was very serious about it. So I think that helped. So when you want to do something seriously and you are committed, and then if you have a health coach after who's also interested in the same goal and guiding you, that further helps you. I think that's basically what made the difference.
Thanks for that. So I'm going to answer the question that Imrana has written, and she says, can I eat anything other than salad in a day?
Okay.
So can you answer that question? I don't think you were just eating salads. I don't think there was any day that you were just eating salads.
Yes. So I was eating a lot of Halim, Imrana. So
yeah, you were actually.
I used to make Halim and Halim don't require a lot of oil to cook.
Can you give the recipe? Because I know you came up with it yourself.
I was not using meat, but I was using beef bone stock, and beef bone stock has no fat. So that basically, and putting in a lot of onions, basically. So, and the rest of the Halim masala. So that basically became my go-to diet when it comes to grains, all of it. And then a lot of salads, like I was making moong sprouts, and then chana sprouts, and then a lot of avocado, like my egg. I used to eat lots of eggs. Avocado, basically toast became my breakfast thing. And then the rest was like dal chawal, was also more of dal and little of chawal, but that's basically what
that's
I was
rice
doing.
And lentils. But yeah. I think people are still thinking that you have to cut out on your breads. Can you talk about that? We never cut out breads.
Bread, good bread, you basically have, you don't have to cut out your bread.
You're encouraged to have it.
Yes, so you basically don't have to, like, you can have your roti and just make sure that your roti atta is whole wheat and all that kind of stuff. Which
I think the only thing we are focusing on is cutting out fats here.
Yes.
And because
Hi,
why no egg?
Why no egg? Because it has fat. You have to cut out fat. Well, you don't need that much protein.
But Imrana, that was the first 3 months. I think subsequently, if you want to have egg like you're eating nahari, so egg can also be eaten. That's how I'm doing. Once in a while, I don't mind eating egg.
Sorry, Imrana, we can't hear you.
So you just stopped eating egg for 3 months, Parvez, now? That's hard to believe. Good job.
Yes, that's what I was sharing. That was a challenging.
Yeah, it was just in the beginning, you have to clean out your system, right? So the whole approach is it's not restrictive, but say if you get a cut somewhere, you're going to have to stop the bleed. You can't go with like, okay, I'm not going to put any bandage on it. So the initial cleaning job is done. And then we start working on how to eat in a way that nourishes you. Plus, I think the one concept that we talked about was the way you were living when you were 24 years old is not how you can live when you're 54 years old, because now your body has changed. So you got to appreciate the progress of your age and feed yourself in a way that nourishes you at the age you are at, and to start enjoying that age rather than want to continue what you did. We don't drink milk the way we drank when I was 1 year old, right? So why are we eating and feeding our bodies the way we ate when we were 20 years old? Because our activity level is different, our metabolism is different. So once you start understanding your own body and your own life, but the fat is the big problem in this situation, not the good carbs. And the good carbs are the vegetables and fruits. Once you start adding those, then automatically your cravings for more fatty foods and for more comfort foods will go down. So
Sarah, there's a question that, fat, but why is protein a problem in healthy eating?
Well, because we don't need that much protein. You're not growing like you were growing as a 15-year-old. So too much protein actually stresses your kidneys. So all of that has to be metabolized, and you don't have enough time in the day to metabolize those high levels of protein. Those are complex foods, and they need many hours. Fat and proteins, you probably, with your activity level, you're not metabolizing and absorbing and digesting it even in a 24-hour period. So most of us are eating protein 3 times a day. And that's a big stress on the system. You don't need it. You can eat it for taste, and that's the beauty of working with someone, that you actually start to get in tune with your body, and you start to make changes that fulfill you rather than just dump food in your system. I don't know if I've answered that question, or is there anything else you'd like to add to it?
Medha Mirza.
Madiha. Yeah. Madiha is asking that. Yeah.
And Ustra is asking a question.
Yes, thank you, Sarah. Yes, you answered my question regarding the protein. Thank you so much.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Madiha.
Then Ustra is saying that, what can I do? My parents also have blood sugar.
Yeah. Okay, so the other myth that I want everyone to get out of is you are not destined to have diabetes if your parents had diabetes. Guess what? In my family, nobody's ever had diabetes. Why did I get it? Well, it's just like saying, oh, my parents fell 5 times, so I'm going to fall 5 times too. That's just not even true. Type 1 is genetic, and you can get type 1 even if your parents don't have diabetes, right? So your genetics are different.
No, sorry.
Okay, sorry, you got to mute yourself. Okay, so you don't have to worry about whether your parents have diabetes, and so you'll get it. But look at the lifestyle. What are your parents eating? How much are they moving? What time do they sleep? And what kind of foods are you eating? Like, are you accessing foods that are dead and dying, and you're just picking up because they're the cheapest and they're on sale? Well, they've already lost their nutrition value. If you just compare, you take a fresh piece of romaine lettuce from the ground and you cut it open, there's a white milky substance that comes out of it that dries up in 24 hours. So most of us are not getting really the full nutrition of the vegetables anyways. So how can you start accessing foods that are closer to nature? And definitely anything in a bag that has come through a factory is not going to nourish you at all. It's just going to add to the fat. And then you're going to wonder that why am I, because it's my genetics. No, your genetics do not determine anything. You only have 1% human DNA. 99% is bacterial. So everything can change. It's your microbiome changes everything. And that's a whole, I taught 12 hours of that course at the university. We should do that to get out of our system that because our parents have it, so I'm also going to get it. No, because your parents are living a certain lifestyle and you're living a certain lifestyle, so you're going to get the same problem. So someone's raising their hand. Usra, you raised your hand?
Few more questions.
Yeah.
No, I write the question. I did a blood work. So the doctor say that time, first time I have a blood sugar. So she say after 3 months you go again and did a blood work. So I cut all the sugar and all the things. So you need anything, any suggestion?
Well, fat, for sure. That's what we're talking about. You need to cut out any processed foods that you're eating. Stop buying anything that comes in a bag. And you need to cut out any form of fat that you are eating. Like if you're doing a lot of fried foods, that's definitely going to increase your blood sugar. Like I explained, your blood sugar is a symptom of an underlying problem. The problem is that you have too much fat in your cells, and that's hiding your insulin receptors. And those insulin receptors cannot bring the glucose from your blood into your cells. And that's why you have more sugar in your blood. So we're running very close to our cutoff time. But Usra, I'd highly...
So just 2 more questions. Last minute. What kind of bread Vanessa is asking?
Vanessa, you know what? Since I know where you live in Ottawa, you can access Ezekiel bread. I'll write that. And if you get...
And Javid Bhai is asking, does your program apply for A1C reading at over 9?
Well, yes, we can definitely bring it down.
Journey. So I think Javid Bhai, I'll make sure that you have a one-on-one session with Sarah and basically and know more and see your situation and basically how we basically work it out. Yeah.
I think it should work because metformin doesn't work, because you're on medication and you're still having an A1C of 9, which makes no sense. You'll just
he hasn't started any medication yet.
Oh, well, then perfect.
Just started.
We will get you back to 5.6. You and Perry can have a competition. So I think it's totally possible. It's 100% possible. I've done it for myself. I've done it for a few others. And you just need to understand that, yes, sprouted grain bread, any kind, if you just make sure whatever breads you're eating, they're not the white flour and they don't have preservatives in it. You know, all the breads we buy from the market and packages, they're not going to help you. They don't even nourish you. So they just fill up your tummy and you end up with a fatty liver as well. So with that, I would say we've come to the close of this. So thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate your time on Sunday, and connect with me and we can make magic happen. I think we should be doing these kind of talks once a month so we can build more of